Hey, good morning, Raptor Freaks. Alexios here. Wednesday morning. It's Wait, what? Wednesday, and we're finding out yesterday in an interview at OVO Center with Nick Nurse. He was telling us about something about Scottie Barnes that makes so much sense considering how things have gone for him in the preseason. Scottie has looked a little slow out there, a little lethargic in certain ways. And now we know why. Nick Nurse did an interview yesterday dropping and divulging the information that Scottie actually had an ankle injury, a very minor, maybe a slight sprain, maybe it's a lingering thing from the stuff with Joel Embiid in the playoffs or whatever in September. And he was actually not training in the month of September when we saw him on Twitch in different places, stuff like that. He was actually taking a couple of weeks off, and that he's been getting his conditioning back in preseason right now, that he's not totally in up to game shape, partly because of him not he took the month off. Like he took about 3 weeks off in September where he couldn't be on the ankle, I guess. So he's just getting back into game shape. So this really makes more sense now. Everybody's wondering what's going on with Scottie. What's going on with him? He's not exactly as sharp as he looked last year. Well, now we know, and it's really informative and understanding. He did not let us know this on his Twitch. Scottie, this is good. I'm glad because I want him to be able to hide and keep stuff up from people on Twitch and not let us know things are going on with him in certain ways and stuff like that, because that's none of our business and stuff like that. But I'm glad to hear that this isn't anything serious. And to be honest, he'll probably get his conditioning up very quickly and very fast. In fact, I hope he's ready in full speed for Wednesday, a week from today, for the first game. So, good morning, Monique. I'm glad it's mild and nothing to be serious with Scottie. We are all thinking of him, though. Yeah, Scottie, we're sending you the good vibes, the good healing vibes to your ankle, and hoping that you feel 100% as soon as possible. Maybe you'll look even better on Friday. Who knows? Maybe you've had enough time. These guys have been working out at OVO all week and getting time in and stuff like that. Although Nick did say yesterday that 5 guys were held out of practice yesterday because of injuries. And he reiterated this is the reason why he wants really good depth on this Raptor team, that he wants to go like 10, 12 deep, that he wants 8 or 9 starters, because 5 people weren't available for practice yesterday. And I'm going to guess it's probably like Otto, Malachi, maybe Scottie, Justin, maybe, Chris Boucher, who's missed the last game. It could be that there's those 5 guys did not practice yesterday. We can't even guess and stuff like that. So let's see. A fun guy saying, wow, a whole 3-week setback. Can't wait till his conditioning is back and he's bouncing up and down. Yeah, exactly, fun guy. I mean, we are getting some of the mystery question marks solved about what's going on with Scottie. Why is he not as crisp in his rotations on defense? Why is he not looking as sharp? You know what? I'm actually super impressed with what he's done in preseason, considering what we found out yesterday and stuff like that. So, hey, what's up, David? Good to see you, David. Nako's saying Scottie probably knows better than anyone that he's not playing up to par. He seems kind of frustrated when he doesn't complete a play these days. Yeah. Yeah, he is really a perfectionist in a lot of ways. You can tell by the way he plays NBA 2K23 that he wants excellence, that he wants winning, and he wants to do the right things all the time. And it must be frustrating for him when his body is not fully ready to allow him to do that. And that he's used to it because when he's 100%, well, he can just go. And when his body's kind of holding him back, I'll bet you it is frustrating for him. So hopefully he'll get to his good game shape and he'll be fine and stuff like that. G's here. Good morning, everyone. My background is sports medicine. And I knew Scottie was injured, but didn't want to say and sound like an excuse. I believe his hamstring calf are also tight due to overcompensation. Gee, you are revealing something about your background that we did not know this whole year with you around. In fact, this has maybe been something that you could have helped us with all year. Maybe you were, and I just weren't even realizing it. You just hadn't revealed that this is actually what your background is in. Sports medicine. That's awesome. more and more we find out more of about the people on the stream, and I'm very interested in this, G, because I feel like Lewinberg's been posting this lady on Twitter that she analyzes the injuries of the Raptors and kind of talks about them and what we can expect and stuff. But she's so negative about it. She's like, "Oh, I'm just saying this and this." I hate reading her tweets because she always makes me feel the worst. Maybe you can tell us with a nicer bedside manner what's going on with our Raptors in a way that can let us down easy in a nicer way and stuff like that. But I'm going to remember you have this kind of expertise in the future, G, and maybe I might ask you about what's going on with certain injuries with the Raptors at times and stuff like that. This is great news. Interesting stuff. Lolita's here. Good morning, all Raptors freaks. Speedy recovery to Scottie. All love from Toronto. That's right. Much love from the 416 for the 416 and for the Toronto Raptors, for all the Raptor freaks, everybody, all the Raptor fans around the world today and stuff like that. From Lolita and I'll get on that one too. Good morning from Monique. Good morning to Monique. Raymond Jacobs saying, so many injuries. Season hasn't even started. My sixth sense feels Freddie's next. Ooh, don't do predictions like that, Raymond Jacob. I hate that kind of stuff. No, I think that it's just, you know what? This is the thing. There's different kinds of injuries at different parts of the year. This is really ticky-tack, little injuries where they're being extra careful, and then at the end of the season, you can be as injured as you are right now and still be playing because it's a whole different kind of time of the year and stuff like that. They want to really be careful with guys and get them to 100% over time. They don't want to rush them. And this is part of the balance of having such a deep roster is that, okay, so Otto, you're not 100%. Well, we won't rush you back because we can afford to do this. And, even with 5 injuries, ooh, that sounds so bad. That's only them being held out of practice. And I'll bet you on Friday, there won't be 5 guys on our injury list. There'll only be like 2 or 3 and stuff like that. So let's not overreact and be like, oh no, so many injuries and stuff like that because of what I said today. It's really that they're really holding them out for the littlest of things because they want them to be absolutely perfect health. As much at the beginning of the season going into the whole long schedule and stuff like that. So that's a lot of what's having to do with all that stuff like that. And no, we don't want Freddie hurt at all this season. I don't, if anybody I don't want to be hurt this year, it's Fred. We need to do things right with him and have him, be good for the whole season and really load manage him and stuff like that. Fun guy saying, wow, gee, love it. I only made it through 2 years of human kinetics degree. That's cool. All right. Well, Fun Guy has kinesiology. Listen, I'm finding out more and more about you guys' background in athletics and sports medicine. This is really interesting and good stuff to know about your lives. Tom Duke saying, good morning. That makes sense. G has a related background. Sports genius. Sports genius. Yes, Tom. I see that. And G saying, that's all. It's still good, Fun Guy. All right. Koloko might play a lot in the absence of Boucher, eh? This is one thing that Nick said yesterday, that he really does see Christian Koloko as being like one of these guys he's going to mix and match in the starting lineup. That there's something about him that is really adds to a whole new dimension to our team. And that he kind of did let it be known that Christian is kind of in that rank of file of things. Tomorrow on the Think Tank, I think what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Raptors rotation and who's going to make the team and starters and things like that. This is the hot topic du jour of the recent week or so, is figuring out who's going to make the team, obviously, the rotation, and who's going to start. There's been a lot of topic of talking about this stuff. And I feel like this would be a good think tank to do going into the season, is to talk about the position battles, the rotation battles, the battle to make the team tomorrow on the Thursday think tank. So be there 9:30 a.m. We'll be talking about it tomorrow and stuff like. You let me know what you guys see as far as things and stuff like. Good morning, Evelyn. Heart for Evelyn. That's right. Good morning. Joseph Starks, good morning to you. Between us all, we are almost all genius. Stupid geniuses. Yeah, genius. We're a dumb genius. I'm dumb genius. No, I like it. Good morning to you, Joseph Starks. Yeah, we have all kinds of great expertise. We have quite the hive mind of collective knowledge from education and things that we've studied and stuff like that. It's very interesting to find out more about you guys and what you guys know about and stuff like that. G saying, I moved away from doing doing it, did training for soccer teams for years in another business now, but I still read up and study it. So he's not actually practicing in that field at this point, but he does have real life experience doing stuff with, stuff like athletics and stuff. That's awesome, G. So really kind of completes more of the picture and makes more sense why you are such a smart dude. You really are. You're one of the smartest people on this channel. I really do believe that. So wow, that's cool. There were a couple other interviews yesterday. Also, we had Thad Young in the interview and Precious Achua. Precious is so fun when he's in interview, and he just had such a vibe to him in that interview yesterday of being very happy-go-lucky, smiley, just really kind of like interesting. And they were, this is what they did yesterday. This is a very interesting thing what the Raptors were doing yesterday. They had a meeting with the NBA head office officials. They came and taught them the new rules for the year. That's right. They had a little seminar with the NBA officials. They come in and say, all right, Raptors, this is what the take foul is. And they're teaching them the take foul. They're teaching them why they're going to call it and different things like that, making it more clear and pronounced what these new rules are going to be in the NBA coming into the season. And they're talking about all this different stuff. And Precious is funny. At one point, Precious says, I wish I could just tell them to give me more fouls. It's like, it's true. He's like, he was like, I wish that we could just tell them to give us more fouls as a team, the Raptors. And there he is saying it right in the middle of an interview, but saying it in a way that he's not going to get in trouble with the refs and like get fined or anything like that. He just said straight up, he's like, I wish I could have just raised my hand and said, hey, can you guys give us more fouls? Ah! Precious, you are so awesome for saying that and wanting to say that to the NBA refs and stuff. But this is cool. They were illuminating all the new rules. There's mostly it's the take fouls. And then there's Nick Nurse was talking about the celebration rule now with the people on the bench. Now, apparently he made it more clear. It's not just like coming onto the court, which is very much a part of it. If you walk onto the court and the ball is live, they're going to call you for a tech. Because this is a rule that's always been there. You can't be on the court if the ball is in play. You can't be like shadowing and walking on and kind of like, doing anything. It's very much against the rules. In fact, they get onto the coaches for coming on the court too much out of the coaching box. So why wouldn't they do that to the players if they're on the bench and they're kind of walking in the corner of the court? The ball is in play. The whole court should be empty. That has been the NBA rules forever. And these NBA teams have been really encroaching on that rule a lot in the last couple of years. And that's why they have this rule. The other thing is they don't want them to stand for long periods of time. This is when you can get a tech also. You can be on the bench and standing for too long and they'll call you a tech. In fact, Nick said they gave us a tech for that very early because our guys were standing around watching the game from the bench. And this is the reason why. It's not only because it's distracting. There's people that paid $1,000, $2,000. They're sitting behind the bench. They're trying to watch the game. And if the benches of NBA teams are standing there, a bunch of 6 foot to 7 foot guys, they can't watch the game. So they really want the players to stop standing for long periods of time on the sideline, on the bench. If you want to jump up and go cheer for a second, that's fine. But you can't be standing there for like 5 minutes, like just standing there watching the game, standing on your feet. So those are the two things they're going to kind of call them on this, is whether you're standing for a long period or you're coming onto the court. And the other thing is kind of just like making distractions, because there literally were players throwing towels up like Nav would on the sideline, or like making like people trying to shoot free throws and they're like, ooh, over on the side of the court and stuff like this. So they want to cut all that out. It's Bush League kind of shit. It really is. So Nick really agrees with these rules. In fact, he's glad they made the bench rule and stuff like that. He's not against it. He thinks that it's something they needed to clean up for a couple years now, that there have been too many problems with the bench being too much on the court, too much of a distraction. Now, the third thing that they talked about with the Raptors, the officials, was the continuation of calling the offensive fouls on people who kick their legs out when they take shots. That they've even added a little bit more wrinkles to the offensive thing, the kick out foul. We knew all about this last year. This was a new rule last year where if you see Trae Young kick his leg out to try and initiate contact to get a foul, well, that's a foul on him. Well, they've added a couple of more situations where that offensive foul can be called, because it's really the the shooter trying to initiate contact by kicking into somebody else. So that is part of the whole thing too, is that they were learning that yesterday. The increased more foul calls on the offensive side for kicking out or doing things with your body weird to try and initiate contact to get an and one. So there you go. There's three things the officials were going over with the team yesterday. Very awesome and cool to hear from Precious telling us about that class and stuff like that. I'm sure they're doing with all the NBA teams, that making sure they know the new rules as far as the take foul, the bench rules, and the new offensive fouling rules and stuff like that. Really cool stuff. G saying Precious's personality is really coming through more and more. He's more at ease. He's more comfortable. It was really weird in that interview. He kind of talked about his time in Miami for a second, and it really made me realize they just did not understand how to use him. That this is so true. That teams really draft these really good players like Precious. He's such an athletic, raw player. They don't know how to mold that clay or get into him. And I think Miami dropped the ball in their first season with him to not really understand who he was, because he never really fit there. They didn't use him right. I don't think he enjoyed being in Miami as much as he's been enjoying in Toronto the 2 years he's been here now. So that really showed in the interview, because he kind of talked about, well, when I showed up here in Toronto last year, I was able to start doing this and this, and I started getting unlocked. Miami didn't even start unpacking the box in his rookie year with him. And he's really appreciative, I'm sure, that he's on our team at this point. The more and more I think about Precious getting on our team from that deal, the more happy I am about this. This is the kind of thing where, you buy a car, it depreciates. Well, this is like, well, we got this dude, and it's just appreciating, going up and up more and more. And that deal for Lowry just looks so brilliant at this point and stuff like that. So happy about it. Marty McCutcheon. Marty McCutcheon, that's our old referee. Was he the one who was teaching them? Something like that? That's hilarious. David saying that GTJ special. What? Gary Trent Jr. has a special out or something like that? I'll have to find out about that. All right. So, yeah, that's really good that they did the ref rules with them yesterday and stuff like that. Cool stuff. Let's see. Paul B. saying the Confederacy of Dunks podcast mentioned how 15 of our wins last year came from playing teams without their all-star COVID rules. Could be harder to get wins this season is their logic. I don't like thinking about this in a negative way. I mean, it could be any kind of thing. There's all kinds of different factors that can change things quickly and things like that. I would also argue that there were games that we lost that we really shouldn't have in certain positions. Obviously, keep talking about the Boxing Day game with Cleveland that shouldn't probably happen. There were a couple of games where we lost at the last second. I don't know. I don't like that they're being negative, and that seems like a very negative take, Paul, in some ways. I like to think that they're going to improve, and that will overcome any kind of like gimme games that they think they had. I know that Golden State game, when we played them, I went to, was very much what you're talking about. They didn't send any of their regular guys up. But I don't know if it's that many games. 15 seems like too many games that would have been a factor in. Once again, that's not Raptor Freak kind of talk. That's more negative ninny kind of talk. And they can do that on that show. That's fine. They want to be realists and think about it this way and stuff. Well, I'm going to believe that we just got better and we'll overcome that anyway. So, yeah, I don't like that. Joseph Stark saying Monty is the head of the officials now. Okay, he is. Joe Dumars is the head of the officials at this point overall, like as far as the whole head office, like he's the head of rules in the NBA, and that also Kane Fitzgerald's in charge at the replay center. But Monty's been around forever. Monty's been around forever. He's older. I thought he retired, actually. Monty McCutcheon. Are you sure he's still there? He was the guy teaching the raps. Oh, he came here and taught them. Okay, he may not actually be reffing or doing anything. He just did it to come and teach them. Okay, that makes more sense. Thanks for the clarification, Joseph. G saying Paul B, but other teams were more healthy in general, so it goes both ways. There's no real way of looking at this. And I mean, it really is kind of like a general thing, like with research. If you want to go find information to make your point, you can go get data that will point to what you want to believe for what you want to say. So I could easily go and look at the schedule and say, okay, these 15 games we should have won if things had been different, and do the reverse of what they're saying. So I don't really, this kind of stuff is woulda, coulda, shoulda. And we don't know what the factors are going to be this season. It seems like this season may be easier to win this year because there's going to be way more teams tanking. There's way more elite teams that have culture problems. And it's also like the two teams in the finals are not as strong as they were last year. So it's wide open. So I don't like this negative mindset that they're doing over at Confederacy of Dunks and thinking about, well, this is maybe why we have less wins. This is what I'm saying. Why do Raptor fans want to think the worst? Why? Think of the best. We're going to make everything work out. And it's like, whatever. You guys are worried about injuries, worried about like things like having less wins this year? Nah, I don't see it. We're going to be going forward and up. Yeah, Paul B saying, I saw you on that show. I wanted to see your take. Keep it positive. Yeah, that's basically my take, Paul. I know you're not like that. You believe in the positivity and stuff like that. That's an interesting take. And why would you go and do the work and research to figure that out if you were already wanted to think that? I don't even know if that you can look at that and really honestly look at that. I mean, there were games where Giannis didn't play against us, but that wasn't our choice. We couldn't choose who showed up and played against us. It really is who he shows up and who we can play and stuff. So I'll argue this point that it's kind of a negative scenario just to kind of go research and try and figure out in the first place. Because it's not like it's different for anybody else. Sure, maybe some people didn't come across because it's Canada's border and stuff like that. But there were other games in the States where people were held out also for load management and did not play in major games. So I would wonder if that's the same for a lot of teams in this league, as far as like superstars ducking teams at different times and stuff like that. It's that kind of stuff. So, all right, let's see. Tom saying Monty McCutcheon, the NBA's senior vice president overseeing referees. Okay, so he is still around. He's such an old name. Like I've heard that name for so long. I thought he just like gone and retired and been away and stuff like that. But they really do keep these old referees around on different things and lighter roles in different ways around stuff. David saying, I feel like pretty much any team could have the same thing said about them in their games. Exactly. David and I are thinking the same exact thing. I just had the same argument at the same time he said that. So I don't know. That's why I don't like doing that kind of content, like woulda, coulda, shoulda content and stuff like that. The season last year happened the way the season did. The season this year is going to happen the way it's supposed to and stuff like that. Kenny was saying Giannis was avoiding us all season. He really was. And in the one game he did come and play against us, he got his butt kicked. And I don't care. We can't worry about whether the rest of the other team is going to show up. This was a big deal last year because of the COVID and the border and stuff like that. We couldn't worry about whether Kyrie was going to show up. We couldn't worry about whether Steph Curry was going to show up, Giannis. That's not on us. We can't control that. They come with their team. They present their team. They show up who they have, and we play who's there. We can't really deal with that. We don't have any control of that. Joseph saying, can we play matchup for 1 second? Let's compare the starting five of Boston and us. Let's delve into this matchup, please. All right, Joseph Starks, for sure. Rapid Free got a request. We try and fulfill it here. All right, let's do this. Well, let's look at point guard real quick. Obviously, that's a Marcus Smart versus Fred VanVleet kind of matchup. In a lot of ways, Marcus Smart is heralded. He's the defensive player of the year, and everybody thinks he's such a great defensive player. But I would very much argue that Fred VanVleet's a better defensive player in the right areas than Marcus Smart. That this man is like a master at certain things that more and more we're realizing what he does with his hands, what he does with spacing, what he does with jamming on the pick and roll, what he does on different things. That he's expert level defense for that position at point guard. And if you're going to make the argument that Marcus Smart's such a great defensive player, I think that Fred VanVleet is right up there with him on the underrated scale, that they don't talk about Fred enough. And because Fred has much more offensive potential than Marcus in some ways, Marcus is not a good offensive player. Sure, he's good for some threes here and there, but he misses a lot. And we've seen him do goose eggs all over the place in different times in his career. So I would say that Fred has the advantage over Marcus Smart because he's a better all-round player than him. He gets all the kudos for being a defensive player, but he's definitely not the same offensive player as him. Now, if we're going to the next position, I'm going to shift the Celtics up a bit just because Robert Williams is out, and I want to look at them from what we're looking at for Friday. So if you put Gary Trent Jr. up against, let's say, Derek White. just because they're starting him kind of small. You could say Malcolm Brogdon, you could say Derek White or Malcolm Brogdon against Gary Trent Jr. Well, what are you going to think is better there? Obviously, Gary's playing out of his mind. And the things that we learned about Gary yesterday on the trivia, that he is a prodigy, that he has been trained since a very young age to have really good muscle memory, to have all this kind of, I mean, listen, there's another little story about Gary Trent Sr. that I didn't tell you guys yesterday. When Gary Trent Jr. was a little baby, a very, very little baby, Trent Sr. would take his arms and his legs and stretch them out, stretch them over and over again, because he was trying to establish muscle memory in Gary Trent Jr. as an infant. As a very little baby, he would stretch his legs and his arms out, trying to establish new muscle memory and get his muscles and moving. So he started him that early. We have to realize that Gary Trent Jr. is very much a very planned and methodical, thought out basketball player that was trained from very much from birth by his father. That he is a natural, and that a lot of the things that he does on the court are things that he's been doing since he was very young, that he learned those fundamentals, and this is just him second nature. This is just who he is. So I like thinking about that with him. And I think, once again, of course, I'm going to pick him over those two guys that are kind of half-ass starters, Derek White and Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, either one, you can switch either one in and out, stuff like that. Now we're going to go to small forward. This is a classic bubble match. Jaylen Brown versus OG Anunoby. They're both very good friends with each other. In fact, you see them pal around and talk a little bit when we play them, but very much strong competitors against each other. And this is one where I have to give this edge to the Boston Celtics. Jaylen Brown's a phenomenal player. OG, if he wasn't hurt all the time, if he was a little more consistently coming up and rising up and showing the new level, I'd make them more equal. But Jaylen Brown's definitely got the edge at this point. Jason Tatum versus, all right, let's say Pascal. Why don't we say Pascal? Jason Tatum versus Pascal. I'm going to pick Pascal. This has been an argument all summer. Who's better? I think that he's way better than Jason Tatum. And I know a lot of people out there think I'm crazy, but he is more OP and dominant in times when it matters. Like, he is more clutch. This is the thing. Pascal can go get his shot whenever he wants. Tatum finds times where he's just kind of cold and stuff like that. So I'm going to pick my man Pascal over him, because that really is a matchup that people like argue all the time. Who's better, Jason Tatum or Pascal Siakam? A lot of people will say Tatum, but I don't believe that. I think that we underrate Pascal overall in the NBA, and that he actually is better than him. And then finally, I'm looking at Scottie Barnes versus Al Horford. And that's really experience versus youth and stuff like that. This is the going and the coming. Somebody's coming in and somebody's about to leave and stuff like that. So I don't know. The experience of Horford and what he's done and intangibles is tough. They're very even at this point right now. But Scottie can easily bloom up and blossom, even just in the next month or 3 months or some point this season, and be way better than Horford. I mean, some people would argue he already is. But I want to see him really reestablish himself like he did last year in his sophomore year, this year first, coming from this mild ankle injury that we've been talking about today already. So there you go. I think we have a better starting lineup. It's just that, in different places, they have really strong players, and that, there's different things going on there. So there you go, Joseph. I hope that's what you were looking for. And there you go. That's it. That's the way I look at it, at least right now. Now, when Robert Williams III comes back, sure, we'll put him in that lineup and then figure it all out from there and stuff like that. So, G saying any team can have major injuries. COVID will affect the team. It's hearsay, to be honest. Yeah, it is hearsay, and like all this other kind of stuff. What it could have, should have. Like, the ESPN thing that they did with the computer, where it read all the stats and it came out with the printout and said that we would be like fourth. Some people I was saying, well, I would trust a computer more because it doesn't have any personal bias, like some of these ESPN people would. Well, somebody was trying to say, well, it doesn't take into account that Kevin and Kyrie were out and they'll probably play this year and stuff. Bullshit. You think that it's just a given that these men are going to play more than they did last year? No, the factors from last year can be very much transferred into this year, like Anthony Davis. You don't think Anthony Davis is going to lose some games to injury this year? You don't think Kyrie is going to be flaky at some point, or Ben Simmons? So it's like, yeah, sure. You say, oh, the computer model doesn't take into account the changes from last year, considering the pandemic is lessened, or just people like Kyrie will be able to go to games because of vaccine rules are gone. Well, I'm just going to say this. Don't underestimate the way that these kind of players can miss games because they'll figure out a way to miss games. It doesn't have to be a pandemic, it could be some sort of other whatever that's something. So I think the computer model is still really good. And those kind of intangibles being figured in there, I think they are actually in there because you can model from a year before and stuff like that. I wouldn't model from our Tampa year, obviously, but that's the things I would say about that and stuff like that. Raymond's saying Boston is tough when they're knocking down their threes. Yeah, they're tough when they're knocking down their threes and they're playing really well on defense. They can be very stifling on defense. And that's some of what we found in that first game against them that was a problem in the first half with our starters. Their defense was really on it right away. But hopefully this Friday in Montreal, we'll see a lot of different stuff. And I just want to get that Raptor victory over the Celtics once again. We win that game, we'll be 3-2 for the preseason, and two of those wins will be over the Celtics. And I'm all about that. Mason Culligan, good morning. Hey, folks. Hey, what's up, Raptor Freak Mason Culligan? Good to see you again. Leslie's saying Boston's strength is their passing in threes for sure. For sure. I think it's their defense in threes. Their passing can be kind of, yeah, you know what? Their passing is pretty good too. They do share the ball among each other really good. Raymond's saying, anyone think Derek White looks like a lighter Gary Trent? Like a little smaller Gary Trent, they have a similar kind of some attributes are kind of similar. I guess I could kind of see that. Yeah, that's smart. Let's see. Paul B saying pop quiz, Actone Baby or the Joshua Tree, and which rappers have heard those albums? Wow, wow. OG probably has. You know what? I'm old school. I mean, I love both those albums equally. I cannot pick either one of them. They're obviously the two of the greatest albums by that band. It depends on my day. I can't pick. I think today's a Joshua Tree day. I'm feeling more Joshua Tree today, Paul, but that's tough. Now, I would say OG probably is the most likely to have listened to U2 or old U2. There is a possibility. I don't know. Maybe, no, probably not Fred. I don't know. Maybe not many of these guys. Maybe Cam's listened to U2. I don't know. Thad, because he's older. I don't know. I would say the older guys been listening to U2. But if anybody is for sure, it maybe is OG. It may be Tragically Hip. Not really a hip fan, just because I grew up in the States and I appreciate them and I understand why they're some important part of Canadiana and stuff like that. And I saw the hip play many times at the Air Canada Center when I was working there. I got to see them play live many, many times and stuff like that. But I'm not as big a fan. I like some of their songs. Tom Duke saying, at Paul, P Skills is so worldly. I say Pascal. You think Pascal's listened to you too? I don't know. I'm going to guess none of them have. And we'll just say Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse probably likes you too. I'll bet you he does. I'll bet you he's listened to you two a lot and he likes them. He's a big Prince fan. I mean, if he likes 80s music, he probably does like you two. How about the Beastie Boys? They probably do know the Beastie Boys. I'll bet you Scotty knows the Beastie Boys and has listened to the Beastie Boys at different times and stuff like that. Gary Trent Jr.'s listened to that stuff. I don't know. Maybe. All right. Let's see. Mason saying Al is a great player. I got to admit, Al cut clutch when needed. If it was not for Al in the playoffs last year, Boston would have lost in round one. Yeah. Al Horford was a huge part of Boston's run last year. He was kind of the MVP of keeping them alive and different things like that. His leadership and his return to the Celtics from the Sixers that one year really helped them. He probably should have never left because they did lose something while he was gone. And they did kind of reacquire it back when he came back. So Al Horford has been very underrated and important to the Celtics in the last year or so. So for sure. I agree. And G's agreeing with that too. Yeah. Monique saying just booked a ride for the home opener. One more week to go. So pumped. Yes, Monique, 7 days to the home opener against Cleveland Cavaliers next Wednesday night. Y'all be ready for it. Let's see. Thad knows Brass Monkey. Yeah, I bet he knows Brass Monkey. That funky monkey, brass monkey junkie, that funky monkey. Kareem Thomas saying, I'm pretty sure Gary Trent was raised by Prince and Lenny Kravitz. That dude smooth as fuck. It's weird because you see the pictures of Gary when he was younger and stuff, and he looked like a pretty awkward kid. It was really kind of a thing where he probably went through some awkwardness in his teens and stuff like that. And now he's blossomed into this like treat for women. They really love him. Oh my gosh, they look at him and they thirst. They just thirst. And he really does have a very strong Lenny Kravitz vibe. Very, very strong Lenny Kravitz vibe. And that is very, very attractive to very much a lot of women and stuff like that. So, he has crafted his image in the way he looks and his style and stuff like that very strongly. And it is very strong. And other people on the team recognize it. They say, well, Gary's got the best drip. He's the one that's dressing the best and stuff like that because he's daring and he's also kind of understands what looks good on him at this point, and he goes in that direction without fear. So I think that that's part of it there too. But yeah, I have friends that met Lenny Kravitz in real life, and he is a very nice man, a really cool dude. And I think they smoked weed with him. They were like in Jamaica or something like that, and they're just like, "Oh, there's Lenny Kravitz," and they're hanging out with him all of a sudden. Mason saying Nick Nurse loves music in general. Yeah, I agree with this. He really has a passion for music and stuff like that. So I'm totally with you on that. I love that he does little concerts here and there. He was at the jazz festival this summer. He played in a little club in Boston last week when they were there and stuff like that. It's cool, Nick Nurse and his piano and guitar stuff and stuff he does with the Arkells, things like that. Tom Duke saying Nick Nurse still somehow doesn't ever mention Gary Trent Jr. How and why is that? It's such a big part of our present and future team. That's not true though, Tom. He talked about Gary a lot yesterday. He did. He said, this is what he said, Tom. And in fact, I'm glad you brought this up. He said, Gary is going to be starting, y'all. We need to, like, we said this yesterday, kind of talking about this, but he has talked about Gary a lot this week and different things about him and what he really likes about him and expects from him. So, yeah, we're giving him a shine. He's getting his due and his credit and stuff like that. And it's Masai that doesn't talk about Gary from time to time. And that's the part that worries about me. I like when Gary Trent Jr. dresses like Scarface. Mason. Yeah, he's just got a cool thing. Like that hairy thing that he was wearing, that hairy vest last year. I was like, holy crap, this dude is like straight out of like a cool ass movie or something like that. Like he looks like he would be like somebody cool in a movie or something. Paul B saying, I hope Flynn breaks out this year. We need to incorporate the pick and roll again. Yeah, I agree with that too. All right, let me just look over and see if there's anything else I wanted to kind of go over real quick. They're saying that Draymond Green has not been suspended, but he has been fined for punching Jordan Poole, and he won't miss any time. He's taken time away from the team to let things cool down, and that's probably smart. But they fined him, but he's not going to take a suspension or miss any games and stuff like that by the team's punishment. So that's some of the news this morning. Also, all right, here we go. Here's a Nick Nurse quotable about the starting lineup. I think that the starting lineup is always a really hot topic here and with you guys. He's talking about the press because we're always talking about he's like stuff like that. I just think that those guys have played their way into that spot. He's talking about the five that we always start. I think that they're probably clearly the five best players. Doesn't mean that you always have to start your five best. And it doesn't mean that something else might not be better for us. And it may be. I think the continual battle of who we're playing, like, do we really want Scottie, Pascal, or OG guarding a really good big five to start the game? I don't think we do. So we're going to have to make some adjustments to that, or it's just going to be 3 minutes and we're sending in a guy. But I would think that the token start is, if that's not really the way we should be matching up, wouldn't be that big a deal to fix. We talk about it every single one of these press conferences that I'm here, and the players obviously make a big deal out of it as well. It's an uphill battle for me that continues to rage on. The whole debate about who should start for the Raptors and stuff like that. He just said like that. Yeah, I can see sometimes it's not smart for me to have Scottie and OG and Pascal playing against a big on the other team without a starting center. And then he just said we've seen him do, and within minutes of the game, if it's not working out or there's a problem, he will bring Cam in or somebody like that just to fix it, or Precious or something like that. So it's very interesting. Nick knows what he's doing. We need to just trust in him like we trust in Masai, and that he's going to pick the right stars, the right kind of rotations and stuff like that. Now, if he does not do stuff that makes sense and we fail because of it, then sure, We may point out, well, maybe Nick should have made a sub or a little sooner, or maybe that wasn't the right decision at that time and stuff like that. And that I hate being an armchair quarterback, Monday morning quarterback on different things that they do. I want them to just succeed. But for damn sure, I'm gonna look and see if we lost and try and figure out where we lost, whether it was the free throw line, turnovers, not sharing the ball enough, not making our threes. That's the way we improve. We got to look at that kind of stuff and be honest about it, but also not overly critical and dumping on them like some Raptors fans do and stuff like that. There's a balance. Let's see. Mason saying, I think the media doesn't ask about Gary Trent Jr. That's why. I think it's just that there's more flashy, more big kind of personalities on the team. Obviously, Fred and Pascal are kind of like the figureheads. Scottie's such an emerging star. Precious is very interesting and attractive. OG is his own enigma and stuff like that. It's just Gary gets lost in the shuffle to a degree and stuff like that. But who knows? Like I've said in the last couple weeks, I want to put more shine on Gary Trent Jr. and make sure that he's getting his attention and things and stuff like that from us at least. And we'll talk about it. That's part of why I did the trivia on his dad yesterday, was to get more of his story out so that more people put respect on his name and appreciate him for who he is, stuff like that. Let's see. Monique saying, check out the latest interview by CBC, The National, on Fred on giving back this season. All right. Monique is letting us know there's another new segment with Fred on CBC about his Fred's giving. That's very good stuff. Leslie saying, I think Nick Nurse likes the fact that the guys on the bench are still going to be fighting for minutes. He likes that competitive nature. Well, they got to be that way. This is a league where you can't rest on your laurels. You have to constantly be trying to get better, because it's at that point, maybe at another age in the NBA, you could be a loafer and just be like, yeah, I'm 7 foot. Let me play. I'm here. No, you can't be that anymore. It's that competitive. You have to be constantly getting better, or you will find yourself not in the league anymore. Like, look, Carmelo Anthony's not on a team right now. There's all kinds of good players out there that are on teams. It's a very tough league to stay in. And that's what I'm saying. You have to show progress. You have to show that you're leveling up. Because if you're not leveling up, you're kind of just, there may be somebody else next to you that is leveling up, and they're going to be getting the spot, the time, the rotation spot, all that kind of stuff. So it's that kind of thing. And then the competition is important, because that's the only way you get better. You can't rest on your laurels. This is why Pascal and Fred, at Rico Hines, when they were running and working harder than the young guys, and Rico said, if you're not even working as hard as Pascal and Fred, they've already made it. They've got money. They're established. They're going to be on a team. They're fine. If you're not working as hard as these guys that have already got what they're going to get, then you're in trouble. You're not going to make this league. And that's what Rico told them this summer. So, all right, let's see. G saying, he's right. This is why Scottie, OG, and Pascal get injured playing against bigs all the time, especially OG. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a weird thing he's saying there. He wants to start his most talented 5, but he also realizes it could be a detriment for the team at the beginning of the game because of whatever. Maybe that's partly the reason why we get down by a double-digit lead early or something like that. I don't know. I want them to just try different things, and just we'll see the results, and whatever's working, go towards the success and try and duplicate it over and over again, stuff like that. Paul B saying Gary Trent Jr. and the statement jersey are a match made in heaven. Yeah, the city edition, yeah, he looks so good in that black and gold jersey. It really is a fit for him. It really is a fit. You were exactly right with that one. All right, lots of activity in our fantasy league, guys. I love seeing that you guys are getting on the waiver wire and doing different things. Just remember, you can only have one Raptor. I see that different people have been dropping and picking up different Raptors and stuff like that. Good stuff. Good stuff. And I like the trade offers going back and forth. Now, David, I don't think we're going to get anywhere with this. We're at an impasse. I thought you wanted to get rid of James Harden. I'm trying to help you get rid of James Harden. If you want him on your team still, I mean, because you keep sending me deals back that he's not involved in. We got to figure this out. If you want James Harden to get off your team, I'm trying to help you. But if it's just not going to be the right deal or something like that, then it is what it is. We'll let it just go and stuff like that. Let's see. The statement, the black pinstripes, the Bulls looking one. Oh, wait, maybe I haven't seen this one. Have they released a new one for this season? You're talking about it's still black and gold, right? It's still black and gold though, right? The statement jersey. Okay, let's see. Monique saying congratulations to Savannah Hamilton on doing the sideline reporting on Sportsnet. Yes, well, Amy Otterbert's not going to be on the sideline for Sportsnet this year. It's going to be Savannah Hamilton. And that actually makes sense because she's been doing a real good job on the 905 level and she is a rising star and stuff like that. I enjoy her doing the stuff on doing the interviews and stuff like that. So this congratulations, Savannah Hamilton. We really look forward to seeing your interviews this year on the sideline with the coaches and players and stuff like that. So yeah, tighten up your work and get better and better, Savannah. I know you're really good, but you know you can get better too. It's just kind of like Alvin. You guys are going to get better and better as it goes on. But I'm really excited for Savannah and congratulations to her. I'm looking forward to this. Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure, Paul. Maybe I think I know which one you're talking about. He looks good in the city edition ones too, though. He like I think I know which one you're talking about though. This black pinstripes, the Bulls looking one. It's black and gold still. It's black and gold. It's from Tampa. They were red. They were red and white, black, red pinstripes, purple. I don't even remember that jersey. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to go figure that out. I don't know why I don't remember that off the top of my head. It's weird. Mason saying, I've been saying we need a big for that reason. I love Pascal, but center is not his position on the court. I feel with a striking big who can do the dirty work, rebounds, and block the tough stop. Well, that would be Cam. Cam would be the best candidate to come in and do this for our starters. Scottie can kind of do this. Like he can kind of do this. Seriously. It's just that we may not want him to too much, but he kind of needs that skill set to be able to play bigs and kind of play defensive center because he can do it. He did it a lot last season successfully. So I don't know. Pascal, I don't like to think of him as a center at all or OG. The center is Scottie. Scottie plays defensive center and stuff like that because he's the bigger guy, the stronger guy in some ways. Let's see. G saying, I love how Delano's getting noticed. Yeah, I mean, the work is hard to ignore. He is doing some amazing things, and he's definitely going to be a part of our rotation. I really do think that, stuff like that. So let's see. Joseph Stark saying, when you listen to Draymond's interview about the punch, he had very few words of accountability. He seemed to be sorry what he was caught, not so much about what happened. I didn't listen to him, but I've heard this. Like, he kind of started it off by saying, like, I feel so bad for his family to be so embarrassed by what I did to him. That is not a genuine apology. It's kind of like you're dragging in the honor of Jordan Poole's family and friends with it and making them kind of like, yeah, Draymond does not know how to apologize correctly. And from what I've heard, it was not the right kind of apology and stuff like that. There are going to be problems in Golden State. They can try and put out this dumpster fire, do a good PR, do whatever, like the Nets are trying to do right now. They're out on a playground playing basketball with each other. And Kyrie's basically saying, we need to change our image and make ourselves look better as a team and being together. Well, it sounds like it's a little forced. And it was so fun to see Ben Simmons take such a horrible shot on that court and stuff like that. I'm just saying there's goodwill tours being done by a few of these teams, whether it's the Celtics, the Nets, the Suns, the Warriors. They're going to be all kind of like, yeah, there's nothing wrong here, guys. Sure, everything's fine kind of thing. But I don't believe them. I think that there's some irreparable damage with the Warriors, with Poole and Draymond. And yeah, there's going to be problems still. And then the things in Boston are just going to be lingering the whole year. Same thing with Phoenix, similar. And then Brooklyn's just a dumpster fire waiting to break out. There's going to be like the first sign of trouble. They're going to turn on each other, and it's going to be real ugly. And they're not going to have a functional season. They just won't. I don't see how Brooklyn can have a functional season. Your personalities on that team are fucked up. Let's just put it that way. Really fucked up. Let's see. Yeah, it's hilarious, like how he did that apology in the interview. He really wasn't being accountable for his actions, and it was kind of face value, kind of like, yeah, they're making me come and say I'm sorry, that kind of thing. Mason saying Green's a snake. I'm Team Jordan. If somebody tries to hate me, I'm not going to pick sides on this and stuff like that. I know we talked about this a lot the other day, and I was a little bit different from you guys and stuff like that. I mean, whatever. I just like that Golden State's all fucked up. In fact, I like Draymond just for that, just for fucking up his own team. Thank you, Draymond Green, for hitting somebody in the face. This is good because now your team's all fucked up. Paul B saying from the Tampa season, there were red, white, black, red, pinstripes, purple. I'm trying to remember that jersey. I try to block out a lot of Tampa. I tried to block a lot of it out. Joseph starts saying, he actually said, why didn't they leak footage of me coaching the young guys? Plus, a lot of gaslighting. Very disappointing. Jeez, somebody's throwing stuff around out there. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the apology footage, but it does sound like that kind of stuff is hilarious. Stuff like that. He's saying stuff like that. Ah, hilarious. Okay, yes, Cam is good at it. Let's see. I don't know what that is. Cam? I don't know. All right, let's see. Kareem Thomas is saying, do you think Draymond Pool's relationship is salvageable? Do you think their problems will transition to the court? Yes. Yes. And this is the crazy thing. It's not even my opinion. I've seen so many NBA players that are in the league right now saying that this is not something that they'll come back from. That they know from the inside of being on a team when this kind of shit happens. Like I saw Evan Fournier straight up say this their chemistry is shot. Like he said it on his Twitter. There's like not just him. There's been like 4 or 5 players that are in the league that have commented on what's happened and said that they're all screwed up. You just don't come back from this and be like all warm and fuzzy and be like, oh, everything's fine and stuff like that. You know, he really clocked him. And especially if he's apologizing the way he's doing and the way he's showing remorse. Yeah, you think that this is going to fix things? No, it's still going to be a problem. And Draymond may be too arrogant to actually understand that he's continuing the problem by not really being sorry or like really trying. So I don't think he's, how easy will it be for Jordan Poole to be like, fuck you, Draymond, you fucking hit me earlier this season when he's being an ass later this season and stuff like that. And I also still think Jordan Poole is very cocky and that's kind of part of the toxicity in the whole situation also. So I don't know. I don't have any faith in them. I think that a lot of people would say this. I think Laker Nation would agree with us. They'd love to think that. I think there's a lot of different people around the NBA that don't really believe in the Warriors being a serious contender this season, partly because of this fight and stuff like that. So Tom Duke saying, haha, Kyrie realizing he needs to change his image. It's not his image necessarily. It's the whole team's image. They want to put on this persona that everything's fine in Brooklyn, that the Nets all get along, that they have a good culture, that they're happy. Forget about what Kevin did this summer. Just completely forget about everything Kevin Durant did for like a whole month and a half in the middle of the summer. And everything's fine. The house isn't on fire. We're totally just lying to ourselves and stuff like that. It's really that kind of stuff. And they're trying to do it by putting out PR and showing, yeah, no, the team is together. Everybody's happy. And it may be more for like season ticket holders and people that are kind of wishy-washy about whether they should even support the team or be even interested in it because they're such a dumpster fire. So they have to put out the image that like, oh, no, everything's fine with us. In fact, Kyrie said it in his things. We're going on a PR campaign to make sure everybody knows we're okay. You don't have to do that if everything's okay. That's the thing. Kareem saying, if I'm Golden State, I'm trying to get what I can for Draymond. He has plateaued as a Warrior. I think you're right. He's got to go. And the faster they can trade him or move him out of there, the better, because he's not going to be there next year for sure. He's already said he wants to play for the Lakers. It's so weird. If I was a Warriors fan, I'd hate Draymond so much right now. I really would. I know that they loved him over the years for different things that he done, but this is a time where you're like, I fucking hate this guy. Like, what the fuck is wrong with him? And now he's going to disrespect us and start saying he wants to go play for the Lakers next season because he's not going to be playing for the Warriors next year. And they may want to go ahead and trade him now and stuff like that. I think you're right, Kareem. And getting him out of there may be really smart considering what's just happened with him and Poole, stuff like that. Monique saying, Akil Augustine high praising DJ Wilson. Okay, you just reminded me of something else that Nick Nurse said yesterday. In the position battle to make training camp, Nick Nurse said that he is heavily weighting offense, that if he is looking for a guy to be the last player on the bench that makes this team, he wants somebody who can offensively contribute consistently and help them. That's DJ Wilson. That is reading between the lines. That's him. It's not Josh Jackson because we've seen him not be consistent. It's not Justin Champagnie. He's not the offensive dude. It's DJ Wilson. So I just took that as Nick Nurse saying DJ Wilson has the leg up on making the last spot on this team. And Akil was talking high praising him and stuff like that. I like that. I saw that little Raptors Today yesterday with him and Sherman Hamilton. I think it was Sherman. It was either Sherman or Paul. I think it was Sherman. And yeah, he was saying good things about DJ there. It was really, really good and stuff like that. So I have a feeling it's going to be DJ Wilson that makes our team. And I may be shooting my shot for tomorrow as far as like what we're going to talk about tomorrow. But Nick Nurse is making it seem more and more like that's what it is, because he's really valuing offensive help, because obviously our offense has been problem. He needs more help with it. So why wouldn't he get the guy that can help him the most with the offense? And that is DJ Wilson. He has the most complete offensive game out of any of those guys trying to make the team right now, and the most reliable part of it too. So Paul B saying dunk of the year winner on our team at the end of the season upcoming, Scottie, Precious, or Delano. That's tough to say. And you know what? I wouldn't have put Delano in the running until I saw that dunk the other day, that he did that nasty dunk. I still think it's going to be Precious. I think, Paul, if you're going to compile your dunks of the year again this year, I think it's going to be Precious again this year. He's just so, there's something about the way he gets up, and the combination of height, speed, and strength is just so badass. Now, I shouldn't count out Scottie. Scottie's got some good stuff too, but it's just something about the way Precious brings it. It's just really aggressive and strong and just really impressive. Really impressive when Precious is doing a crazy dunk. Mason saying, I hate him, and I'm not even a Warriors fan. Yeah, I haven't liked Draymond at different times. I've called him an ass. I've literally called him a donkey, an ass, the way he acts and stuff like that at different times. I don't know. There's different things about him I do kind of like, but there's some things that I really don't. I can't stand about him, stuff like that. Lolita's saying, my brother and I have different opinions about Draymond. I say that the Warriors will not win back-to-back without him. What's your opinion? Ooh, Lolita, this is a really good thought exercise, and I agree with you. I think he's an essential X factor to their championships in the last 10 years or so. The way that their team has done well is partly because of Draymond's X factors and the things he does with intangibles. And if you're arguing with your brother that he's essential for them to win the championship this year, I will agree with you. I will be on Lolita's side on this, that if they get rid of Draymond, they may lose something that's important for them to win. And yeah, but they may have to, just because of the culture issues we're talking about right now. So I'm on your side on this one, Lolita. If you think that they can't win again with him gone, I agree. Monique saying, I'm glad I can I can remind you on things. Yeah, I appreciate that, Monique. You really are very super helpful in bringing attention to some of the stuff I just don't see. It's almost like you and I are fishermen at the edge of the water, and we're both pulling nets of Raptors content out of the sea. And you may catch a fish in your net that I didn't catch, and then you can show it to me, and I'll do the same, vice versa. It really is a lot like that, Monique. Kareem saying, I got Fred VanVleet dunk from the free throw line. Kareem, if he does that, that is the dunk of the year. If Fred is able to do a free throw line dunk this season, we have to give that to him. That'll be like a Teen Wolf dunk. That will be very much like, man, if that happens, I will be like, wow, I haven't seen the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Patrick Douglas saying, okay, what's the deal with Scottie's ankle? Obviously, offensively, DJ, I have to see it. I question his decision making. Okay, Scottie's ankle, listen, I'm going to say this. That ankle injury, when Joel Embiid stepped on his ankle in the playoffs, was a way more serious injury than we think it was. In fact, he felt like his leg came off. That's what he told us when we asked him in the chat. It was one of us that asked him. I think it was Shane Waters or something. They asked him, how did it feel when Joel Embiid stepped on your ankle? And Scottie said it felt like it had fallen off. It felt like it had been ripped off. And he was like that for days. And in fact, he shouldn't have came back in that series. He came back early. He still couldn't feel his ankle. It's a little risky, but he really did want to make that Cinderella story where he got hurt and he came back and helped us win the playoff series still, but it didn't come to fruition. He was upset about that. He talked about it. He said, I really wanted to come back and win this series for the Raptors so that we can make that part of the story, that I got hurt in the first game and I made it back by the end of the series and helped them win. But it didn't come out that way. So that ankle injury that happened with Embiid was a lot worse than we thought. And all summer he worked and did stuff like this. It may be that he just kind of fudged it a little bit at the beginning of September. And they said, look, the season's coming up. You don't have Rico Hines anymore. You don't have all this. You put in a lot of work this summer, a lot of good stuff. Rest this month of September and take off. So he took time to heal his ankle more in September and wasn't training really. And he's out of shape is what's going on right now. It's really that. His ankle's not really that messed up. It really was that he was just healing it as much as possible to get ready for this grind. And he's in a conditioning place that's not right. And that's why he looks a little lethargic and stuff like that. So that is what the whole story is with the ankle. And then the other thing with DJ Wilson, Patrick, I would say this. Look, you can see him hit threes. You can see him. He's very good at the free throw line. He has some low post moves. So he has a different levels of the game. He can hit a mid range too. He can also rebound really well, and he's playing better defense. Like that was my biggest knock on him was he's not a good defender. Well, he's playing and getting after it this summer and all kinds of different ways. Rico Hines in the preseason, he is playing his ass off on the defensive end. So I had to give him credit for making up for one of his biggest deficiencies, which is the defensive end. So I'm not worried about him on the offensive end. He's a great offensive player, and he's the most skilled offensive player we have trying to make our team at the end. Like Josh Jackson's maybe more talented athletically, but he's not as refined and good and consistent on offense as DJ Wilson, is what I'll say. And Justin's not even really an offensive player in some ways. So he's not even in this conversation to a degree. It's like Nick was saying, I'm leaning towards offense. Well, that tells me DJ Wilson. That really does. Paul B saying least favorite players in the NBA: Marcus Smart, Draymond Green, LeBron James. My least favorite player in the NBA is Joel Embiid. Marcus Smart's on my list also. I don't know. Those are really. I think Joel Embiid for sure. I should just make that my list. I can put Marcus Smart on there, but I don't need to. He's not even that relevant. It's really Embiid for me. I'm okay with LeBron at this point. I don't hate LeBron like I used to at this point. He's really done some things to make me like him more and respect him as a human being and different things. Draymond, I'm back and forth on him. I've hated him at times for sure. David's hated are Embiid, Patrick Beverly, and Jason Tatum. I don't like Jason Tatum either. I like Patrick Beverly. I think he's cool as hell. He's somebody I really respect and admire in some ways. But Tatum, I don't really like him much. But Embiid is somebody I can really get behind. We should be talking about what we love, not what we hate. Mason's saying I can't. He don't score all the rebounds and passing the ball. Someone can step in and fill his role easy, but maybe I'm just a hater. I'm not sure who you're talking about, Mason. Every comment you guys put in there, and put the person that you're still talking about, because we jump around so much. You got to put those proper nouns in there, just so I know you're talking about. If you're talking about DJ Wilson, I don't agree with that. But who knows? Paul B saying great call on Embiid, David. Yeah. Oh yeah, I got to remember Tragic. He's somebody that I kind of hate too. Moran Tragic is the only guy on Tom's list. Okay, yeah, I like that. His higher aspirations to be swept in a dumpster fire. Yeah, for sure. Paul's saying boo. Funny seeing him on the bench in preseason. That was just smart coaching by Billy Donovan. It's like, I don't even want to bring your negative energy into this game because you're going to get booed, and you may actually help inspire the crowd to help the team, the Raptors, win because you're just on the court. That did happen this season when the Nets came back and Goran was on the team. I was at that game. We were very inspired to cheer the Raptors on to a very close victory against the Nets in that home and home game that we played against them back to back. Yeah, we won both those games. And in booing Goran Dragic, that energy actually did lift the Raptors and help the whole building. So maybe it was a very strategic thing. He may have had a little lingering thing. He wasn't on the injury list. So it may have just been like Billy's like, you know what? We don't want you to even play. Like, don't even act like you're here. Maybe could you wear a hat and maybe some glasses and just kind of go to the end of the bench and just kind of go sit. Maybe everybody will forget you're on our team. And they'll just love DeMar. DeMar will get announced, and everybody will shower him with love. And then Goran can see the difference between like being a villain and being a hero. And that they wanted the praise for DeMar, but if Goran had came in, there would have been a lot of booing and stuff like that. So I think that was a very smart move by Coach Donovan and stuff like that. That was very calculated and very smart in some ways. Let's see. Tom said he'll start the dumpster fire there. I don't know. I think he's just going to be irrelevant. He's actually said in an interview this week that he thinks he's near the end of his NBA career. Really? You think so? He's just figuring that out. I thought he would have figured that out last year. Oh my gosh. David's saying I just could stand when I saw him push Chris Paul after the series was over that year. That was insane. Yeah, that was a dirty play, and that was fully out of emotion and just stupid. Yeah, I agree with that about Patrick Beverly. Kareem saying, would Draymond be a good fit in Toronto? Ooh, this is a thought exercise. Well, he's definitely not necessary. We've got everything he does, like with other guys and stuff like that. I don't know if he's the kind of player I want on our team. I think he would be a dumpster fire waiting. He would just be a distraction, especially since he's already an old dog in the league. He has certain ways that he's going to be, and he's just not going to change. And if he shows up here and he starts throwing around weight and being like, "Oh, I'm a 4-time champion," and all blah blah, well, you guys need to listen to me. You can just understand how problems could be kind of upsetting the leadership and the chemistry of our team that's existing. That's what I'm saying. When you add ingredients to a recipe, it changes how it tastes. And you may not want that Draymond piece of ingredient in your stew. It may taste weird afterwards. So I'm not into this. I think it's too risky, and the payoff would not be worth the risk of trying to have him on our team. But it is an interesting thought exercise for sure, Kareem Thomas. And it could work really well. It could be actually really good. But that's really on the hoping that Draymond's a good citizen and he's not acting out or doing anything kind of weird to upset the balance we already have on the team. And I don't think it's worth it. Fun guy saying, I said Wilson was 90% cut, but he's my pick with Banton to make it after two shitty Josh Jackson games. Jackson cannot shoot at all. Yeah, that Boston game he was phenomenal, but in the last two preseason games, he has hardly made anything. I think he's made one shot out of like 15 shots in the last two preseason games. That's absolutely dreadful. And that is not Jeff Doughton Jr. kind of consistency that we want from the bench this year. That is why I like DJ Wilson. He's the most consistent of all those guys trying to make the team. We know what we're going to get from him. He can be certain things for us, and he adds to our 6'9" vision and stuff like that. Mason Culligan saying, no, don't bring Green here. No, no, no. That's a nightmare to Mason. He's like, no, no, no. Don't even go there. Alster saying, Koloko Hakeem ceiling is 4 blocks and 1/2 as a rookie. That was impressive. He got those 4 blocks really early in the game the other day. He's going to be very good. And he might be starting. Like Nick Nurse did talk about him a little bit more yesterday, and that he could be ready and be used in the starting lineup as putting him in and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what Koloko does this season. Shane Waters here. Good morning, friends. Happy Wednesday. Scottie needs to be resting. Ankles can be a serious lingering issue throughout the season. I agree. And that's why he did rest in September and stuff like that. He knows his body the best, and we'll have to see. I'm glad he's playing at least and getting out there because he really does like playing. I don't want them to completely baby him. But you know what? We want him to be ready for next Wednesday. That's the most important game. Friday's important, but Wednesday's the first one that counts. 100% from Tom Duke towards Shane. Cool Boys here. Good to see Cool Boy again from the Twitch. Hello, Twitch fam. Oh, Scottie has an ankle injury? How? It makes sense because I got to be honest, he hasn't looked good at all this preseason. I was starting to think all the video games and muscle hurt him. Yeah, we're trying to figure this out. We talked about it a bit. And yeah, he has a slight ankle injury that it's probably lingering a little bit. Like, who knows how it healed from the Joel Embiid thing and different things. It could be the other ankle. I don't know. But that is what's been happening is that what it is the injury was in last month, and he was out and he wasn't practicing or training last month when we were on Twitch with him. We were saying, yeah, he's going to OVO every morning and stuff like that. Meanwhile, he's keeping it mum. He's not telling us that he's actually not working out because he's actually on rest because of an ankle injury. So last month when we were watching him on Twitch, he was actually taking 3 weeks off. And that is why he looks so bad, is because his conditioning's not exactly right. He looked great at Rico Hines, and that's why we just accepted, oh, he's looking great right now. Well, the month between Rico Hines and the preseason, he actually sat around because he needed to heal the ankle. And that's why he looks a little rough right now, cool guy, is that he is not in conditioning shape. So Lolita's saying, I don't like Kevin Love. Remember the game when our team was sick with COVID and injuries? He was laughing at us with his teammates because we were losing big. Boxing Day game. Yeah, I don't like Kevin Love either. He's kind of cocky and weird. He's somebody that I would put on my list too. Paul B saying Jeff Doughton looks like he's only helps us. The playmaking for others, the mid-range jump shot. DJ Wilson ticks a lot of boxes, but that 3-point shot he took versus Boston is a mental lapse we can't have. honestly, Paul, I have no problem with that 3-pointer that he took at that time. If it goes in, it goes in and it's fine. It didn't really hurt us that much. It could have been a huge dagger at that moment. And I'm glad he took it because honestly, that means he's aggressive and he wanted to win the game. And he made it, could have made that shot. He would look like a hero. So I'm not against what he did. I don't think that was a lapse in judgment. He had an open shot. He could have made it. Sure, it could have been better if we'd had a rebounder down there and stuff like that. But he was going for it. And he's in a positional battle to make the team. So I had no problem with him taking that shot, especially where it was on the time of the game. We had so much time still left, but it would have really helped us in a big time way. So I look at it differently than you. I think that was good because it showed aggressive. And if you just made it, it would have changed everything. But it also didn't hurt us and hinder us from not winning the game eventually anyway. So it's that kind of thing and stuff like that. I mean, sure, we could have got onto him for not having anybody down there to help try and rebound if he misses it. But also, he had that aggression to try and take the shot and win it and stuff like that. I know it was a full 24 shot, but he really was going for it. And in some ways, I have to like the aggressiveness that he wasn't shy or bashful to do that in some ways. So we can look at it differently. Once again, we're not always going to line up on things. I actually thought that was a good thing when you took that three. That's just me, though. Let's see. Mason saying DJ's going to make the team. He plays the best and fits our team well. I agree. Yeah, I think it's just that way. He worked so hard last year trying to fit in with us. There's different things about him underlying that are really helpful for our team and stuff like that. So I like the fit. I think he's good and he's been around. It's not like he's just coming in. He was with us last year. And there was a lot that he learned at that time about our team and stuff. And that's the other thing. They're going to be looking at it internally and say, well, DJ came with us last year and he actually already learned all this stuff. And that may be an advantage over Josh Jackson is because he's ahead with our system and really understanding the switching and all the different things we do more than some of the other guys that are not as been around as much. Like Justin has that advantage too. Let's see. Patrick saying our preseason performance was telling, heavy legs, but I think the maturity of knowing it's the time to just find the weak links to work on. Yeah, there's different people looking at the preseason in different ways. Fred looks at it as light work. He doesn't give a shit. He's not out there trying his hardest. He's easing into the season. He sees 82 games that matter, and he sees 5 games that don't. And he sees this is just a little appetizer time for me to get out there, go through the motions a little bit, use this, make sure I'm doing okay. But it's not the time to be absolutely gangbusters out there, putting yourself all out, full exertion. And that's definitely not what a lot of these guys are doing. They're not at full exertion. They're easing into the season. And the other thing we got to remember about our preseason is Nick Nurse is experimenting and trying all kinds of new things. And some of them are not working. We're seeing right away that they're not working right away and they may need to be adjusted. And that's another reason why we don't seem so smooth and clean is because they're doing things that they're not used to that are totally new. There's especially with Scottie, the stuff that he has been doing in preseason is not the same stuff he was doing last year. And that's an adjustment and getting used to it and stuff like that. So, but yeah, different people have different things. The starters are easing into it, like I just described. And then the guys are trying to make the team or cutthroat. And then the middle guys are maybe trying to carve out what their niche rotation role will be and stuff like that. Paul B saying all great problems to have for the 15th roster spot. This is really good. We have a really good depth out there. And the fact that this is such a hard decision means that we're in a good place. It's a really good place and stuff like that. Guardian Transit saying, I think Justin Champagnie is in a tough position to make this team. I think he is too. Too little, too late. Like he's got to have a big game on Friday night. I really do think that if he's going to have any chance in this last week before we start, that the cuts are coming in the next week. And that Friday is such an important game for him. Such an important game for him. Hopefully he'll get a lot of time out there and he'll get a good stat line. Like if you can get a double-double, Justin, this may really help you. You might need to get a double-double this week. Yeah. I know, Paul. I know the DJ Wilson. We already talked about it. And I know he's saying with the full 24 shot. We talked about it. Mason saying we have the best trainers and great staff that will figure it out for Scottie. Yeah. That's part of the reason why they're saying, well, you know what, Scottie, you know what? If your ankle's like this in September, you go ahead and rest it now because you completely can rest it. You don't have to do anything. We're not traveling. We're not doing anything. Just hang out at your house and play Twitch. And that's basically kind of what they told him and what he did. So it is what it is. Let's see. Paul B saying, if it went in, I would have loved it, but it was so invested in that game and it all worked out. No harm, no foul. Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it too. Like if that had been the last second and he had missed it, yeah, sure, I might have been upset. And I know that Patrick Douglas is saying bad shot, go to the basket. Championship requires IQ in critical moments. Okay, I can see that argument that you think he should have tried to go around the defender and just go straight to the basket. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough to say. I think he was going for the home run ball. He had the guts to try and take it. He just was unsuccessful. And I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how Nick Nurse felt about that play. Like whether he admonished him for it, that you didn't do the right decision in that moment, like you guys are saying, or he was like, I'm liking your aggressiveness and taking the shot and trying to be that guy, the hero at that moment. He could be either way. I can't tell you either way. Stuff like that. He probably is telling him, yeah, you should have probably waited for somebody to be down near the basket just to try and collect the rebound. But you got to remember also when we're saying like at the beginning of the 24-second shot, sometimes they're going for 2-for-1s or they like getting the ball shot early in the 24-second clock. And then it's not always about using the whole clock. That in some ways we have a bad stat that we use too much of the shot clock. Other teams get a shot in their shot clock way early. We get like on average 18 seconds into the shot clock, we finally shoot. And that's one of the worst, like the longest in the whole NBA. Other teams initiate their offense and get in and get a shot up way early in the shot clock than we do often. Because that's the whole way the NBA is. They want more possessions, more time. It's not about waiting for the end of the shot clock or anything. You want to score as early in it so there's just more points and going back and forth and stuff like that. It's really the philosophy of the NBA in a lot of ways. More, get more shots. And that means not waiting around the shot clock and running it out or anything. So it's hard to say that that's a factor in him having bad judgment because there was so much shot clock still. Because in some ways they're going for 2-for-1s. And they're also kind of like wanting to play an up tempo where there's more possessions over the whole game and stuff like that. So I don't know. Without knowing what Nick Nurse said to him about that, we can't know. I mean, I don't know whether he got on to him about that. He very well might have, but he may very well been like, I really like that you were aggressive to try and win the game for us right at the end and stuff like that. So Kareem saying preseason or not, you shoot, you make your shot. Other than the Chicago game, the Raptors have been missing open shots. Don't even get me started on free throws. Yeah, the free throws have been really piss poor. They piss me off even more than the shooting on the field. Because that's easy. Free throws are the easy one. And they maybe just need to concentrate a little bit better. Let's see. David saying, Chicago game, we didn't shoot well either. We just looked better because the guys were actually playing ball. Yeah, I don't think we shot well in the Chicago game either. I don't think we shot well in any of these games, honestly. We've won 2 out of them. The 4, though, considering we haven't shot well, that's actually kind of good. All right, I'm going to get through these last few comments, and then we're going to get off because I didn't want to do a very long stream today. I have things I got to do. My family's about to come over, and I'm going to be spending the day with them today again. So I got to get off here. Joe Stark saying, it's important to take the shot to show you're a threat. DJ taking that shot forces the defense to be aware of him. Who knows how much it opened up in subsequent plays a la Jeff Doughton Jr. Yeah, that's a good point, too. I mean, like I said, we could look at it as being like that's an ill-advised shot by DJ Wilson, but is it completely? He was just going for the home run ball. And if he'd hit it, he would have been a hero and he would have looked so good. I mean, if you're trying to make the team and you're in that opportunity, in that position, if you can make that, then that makes a really good case for you to be on the team. So he's going for trying to make the team is the kind of thing I see. Mason saying, I get Kareem as well. I get it, Kareem as well, but it is preseason and guy needs time to get going. Remember, NBA players are human people, are new on the team and don't know the plays as good as others. It's more than just the game. If we play like this in the season, then we can start worrying. Yeah. Like this is all just pretend and like starting out kind of stuff that doesn't count. And when things start to count, then we'll be a little more serious about like being more, not being more critical, but just like wondering what the problems are and trying to fix them and things like that. All right, guys, I appreciate y'all being here with me on a Wednesday. I will be back tomorrow for a Thursday Think Tank. As we said, we'll talk more about kind of what we've been already talking about, more news and notes and things about the rotation, who should make the team and stuff like that. I appreciate y'all. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I will be back tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Monique saying, free throw specialist, anyone? Let's go Raptors. They need if they're going to do the shooting school at night, they need to do a free throw shooting school at night also. Precious has done very well with his free throws. I can tell he worked on them very hard this summer. Some of the other guys have been with their free throws. Delano in particular, I want you to start making your free throws better. Ray Allen busy. Ray Allen is way too old for this league at this point. Maybe he can come and teach them some stuff. Maybe, yeah. All right, guys, let's go Raptors!